What's up, guys? Today we're checking out American versus European suburbs. Gonna be talking about why U.S. suburbs suck. I find this interesting considering that most of the places I lived in or been to, especially in U.S., have always been suburbs. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see and compare to European suburbs. So I can say right now, probably live in what you would consider American suburb. You know, not too bad to me, I guess, because I always been here. But we finna see this, check it out, see what it's about. So y'all hit that subscribe button, send on those recommendations.
This is a typical American suburban street.
Yeah.
It's wide, the houses are very far apart and look mostly the same. There is barely anything on the well-manicured lawns, post boxes, a few trees or bushes, and the occasional fire hydrant.
Oh, that was an interesting mailbox.
Now compare this to a suburb in Leipzig, Germany. What differences do you notice?
Different houses for sure.
First off, there is stuff around you. The streetscape is very diverse and mentally engaging. In comparison, the American suburb looks like a desolate urban wasteland.
This is a good thing because I ain't gonna lie. Like, you see all these cars on the side. This is how my street is. And I would say on the weekends, but it looked like this because I guess all the families and stuff that's, in the neighborhood, they have people over and it's just so many cars on the side of the road. Like, it'd be ridiculous at some time, but it's like, they have family over and stuff. There's nothing you can do or say because it's like, it's not like they in your space. They're just parked alongside in the front, but it'd be tight. It's a tight squeeze. It's a very tight squeeze like this.
First off, there is stuff around you. The streetscape is very diverse and mentally engaging. In comparison, the American suburb looks like a desolate urban wasteland. Also, in the European suburb, the street is narrow, there is a 30 km/h speed limit, and the buildings are close together. Do notice the tram tracks. In this suburb, you can live car-free. If you want to go to the center, you can either take the tram or ride your bike for 20 minutes on dedicated bike
That's very
lanes.
convenient.
Or take the S-Bahn because there is also a train station. In the American suburb, you have no option but to drive. Head out onto the busiest road, a horrifying mix of street and road, onto the jammed highway, and after an hour you'll be in the center, searching for a parking spot.
Facts.
How about going to a restaurant? In the European suburb, there are dozens of different, unique, local restaurants reachable on foot, by bike, or public transit. In the American suburb, you're an hour walk away from a chain restaurant next to a busy stroll.
Yeah, I would say this definitely depends on where you live. For a walk, I'll say he probably about right. Like, if I willing to walk, let's say McDonald's pretty close on car, but if I wanted to walk to McDonald's, it would probably take me 30 to 45 minutes just to walk there. It would probably take me another 30 to 45 minutes just to walk back as well. So now you're looking at almost a 2-hour trip just for, a little Mickey Donald's.
If you want to eat, you gotta get in your car. What if you have children? In this European suburb, there are 3 schools close by. Kids can walk or bike there on their own and learn to be independent early on. In the American suburb, a child could get to school after 35 minutes of walking, mostly along a busy arterial road, also having to cross a 6-lane road. And somehow, there's no crosswalk, so kids have to be driven to school every day by...
Yeah, you usually, I still see kids. Well, I used to walk to school, probably like 5-10 minute walk. Nothing too bad, nothing too serious. But nowadays, my kid's school, my youngest son, his school, it's about 15 minutes in car. So just imagine if it's already 15 minutes away driving, that's about an hour walk right there.
Eddie. The same goes for sports. Over here, kids can take a 10-minute walk to the nearest sports field or a 3-minute bike ride on calm, safe streets on their own. In the US, it's a 40-minute march through a maze of streets partially along a major transit artery.
I wonder what part of the US
the SUV and let mommy drive you to practice. This is where the term soccer mom originates from, by the way. People lament today's children for being overly dependent on their parents. But in such neighborhoods, children don't have a choice but to be dependent. Otherwise, they cannot go anywhere. They are stuck at home. In contrast, in European suburbs, kids can be let out safely.
I feel like independence in kids, it used to be a lot more I feel like happened a lot more when I was younger. So that even the times before that, it was more independence. Nowadays it's not.
On their own to go to places they want to without the need for the mommy and daddy taxi service.
Not the mommy and daddy taxi
Do note
service.
that yellow residential building on the left. That is a mid-rise. European suburbs tend to be a mixture of those and single or multi-family homes, like on this street. Zoning in US suburbs only allows for single-family homes, and they are usually placed very far apart, leading to low density and long distances. This makes public transportation non-viable. Over here in Europe, hundreds of people live within walking distance of this tram stop. In the US, if you put a tram stop here, you'd have a few dozen people living within walking distance. Meaning, even if you build public transit here, almost nobody would take it, because no matter how you build it, people would be too far away from it. If you're half an hour away on foot from the nearest tram stop, you'll take your car instead, and people do. So giant highways have to be built rammed right into the city, usually demolishing.
It's crazy how highways look. I mean, especially compared to when you're driving on, but just the top view. Like, I just want to know how they came up with this structure on these roads like that. When it comes to the highways, like, it's so weird. It looks so weird, looks so confusing, but it's crazy.
Neighborhoods in the process. The end result was mass motorization all across America, constant traffic jams, noise and pollution.
But see, that might not be traffic right there. It's just a lot of cars.
Particularly those who were poor, who had to live near high traffic areas in cheap, low quality housing. The suburbs also became a growth Ponzi scheme, where income from the suburbs couldn't cover future infrastructure overhauls, so the city had to expand and sell new properties constantly to get enough money to maintain what they already have. Not Just Bikes did a great video about this.
Yep, I remember seeing. I was about to say, like, what did he say? I heard that before. I think I've seen that when the suburbs were scammed. I seen that because I said in that video, like, we pay HOA fees and stuff in our neighborhood, but we don't have no like community swimming pool. We don't have no community playground, basketball, none of that. It's like, what are we paying for? Like, and they're just redoing the roads every year, and the roads are fine. And they're just redoing them every year. I don't understand that. Is that what they're using our money for? Just the roads? When kids need a playground that they can go and have fun at? Or a basketball court, a swimming pool or something?
Car-centric development were useful political tools in the 1950s to enforce a Christian conservative, white nationalist hierarchy within American society, where white men are on top, women are at home, fully dependent on their husbands, and where all resources are channeled towards the white middle and upper class in the form of billions in state subsidies. And the rest of society, poor people, non-whites, were left to fend for themselves in decaying urban centers, sucked dry financially by the parasitic suburbs around them. Car-centric planning became a weapon of choice for conservatives in order to maintain the unequal status quo. And this phenomenon isn't unique to America. In Europe, as our cities transition away from cars, the opponents of this change are almost always conservatives. While the incumbent Paris mayor campaigned on eliminating 50,000 parking spaces, her conservative opponent, who looks frankly diabolical even by French standards, wanted to halt decongestion measures. In Prague, a city overrun by cars, conservatives keep screaming about the cyclo-fascists ruining the city after a shadow is painted somewhere. Meanwhile, conservative district mayors are busy turning sidewalks into parking lots. In Madrid, the conservative city leadership cancelled the ultra-low emission zones, leading to local protests to bring them back. In Budapest, we have Orbán's far-right conservatives screaming about how there is a witch hunt against drivers by the new center-left mayor, and complaining how in inner-city Budapest it's almost faster to walk now than to drive. Even in Germany, Bavarian conservatives are dumping money into highways while letting the rail network fall into disrepair. As a rule of thumb, in every city with decongestion measures, you also find conservatives screaming about
beer freedom,
the symbol of hierarchy in transportation, where the affluent suburban minority gets to occupy 80% of public space inside cities, compared to the more egalitarian space use of public transit and bicycles. God forbid you have to get out of your giant SUV of death and get on a tram with the peasants. Of course, upholding the conservative hierarchy isn't why suburbs are built today in the US. It's mostly just a necessary continuation of the Ponzi scheme that began with the first suburbs. Also, it's due to faulty zoning codes not allowing for mid-rise.
That's what I always say. Is like, you pretty much almost, I wouldn't say forced. You have to. I mean, if you want to get around, you're gonna need a car. But then again, I think they playing around with the gas too. So I think in the next couple of years, they're gonna have everybody get an electric car too. You know, remember this video when everybody have a Tesla or a Nissan electric car or something like that.
That would actually make more money for the city, increase density, and make public transit viable. In Europe, our suburbs are mixed, with both mid-rises, single and multi-family homes. They're an organic part of the city and contribute fairly to the local budget. There is also subsidized, affordable public transit. All in all, it's more egalitarian. And if the US situation sounds depressing in contrast, as an American, there are things you can do to potentially help change things. If there is a local transit riders union, go join it. Look if there are any initiatives on the ballot for traffic calming, bike lanes, etc. Show up to your local town hall meetings and advocate for zoning reform, ending parking minimums, and so on. If you're persistent enough, your ideas will be heard.
Possibly,
and you
it
can
depends
help
on
push
where you
America
at.
back towards sensible, fair, more egalitarian urban planning, one neighborhood at a time. That's what I would do if I were you. Thank you for watching. Oh, and by the way, there is now a new membership option for my channel, so if you wish to support me making content like this, please consider becoming a member by pressing the join button next to the subscribe button.
Okay, this was some Adam something. This was some good information. But like I said, it really gonna depend where you at, cause like in the U.S., different states have different rules and stuff. So you definitely gotta know the rules, regulations, and all those things. Then within that community, that city, that town, or wherever you're at, you just gotta know how everything works, because it's all different. It's all different. But y'all let me know what you think. The American, I mean, me personally, I like space, because like in my neighborhood, our houses are close. I wouldn't say too close, but they're pretty close together. Our houses are pretty close together in the town that I live in my neighborhood, and the streets are very narrow. So I think wherever he was probably in a neighborhood. It was very spacious out there and all that stuff. But my neighborhood, definitely more European style, I would say. But I enjoyed this, guys. Y'all hit that subscribe button, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.